All right. Here we are. Thank you all for coming. It's great to see you all again. Unbelievably, this is the 6th class of Indie Bio, and I dare say our best class. And so I'm incredibly thrilled to share these 14 companies that are working on game-changing technologies with you this afternoon. First, though, I'd like to share with you that our two partners, TechCrunch, is live streaming our demo day currently to 2 million registered viewers, as well as shout out to SOSV, the accelerator VC at which I'm a general partner, and wholly funds Indie Bio's operations. Also, if you would like to reach out to any one of these companies that you're going to see today, we have a website set up for you at indiebio.co, our website, /demo day. There's a dedicated website that will allow you to get in touch with any one of these companies if you're press or investors at any point. Thank you. So I started Indie Bio 3 years ago to see if biology can be applied to, as a technology, could be applied to world-changing problems. And I started that as a way to understand if that's even possible. No one had really tried that before. And then a year ago, things changed for me. I've had 2 little girls in the time since, Luca and Freya, and they're 3 and 1. And now that we see in the news every day things like global warming and other problems, I look at them and I see they're actually going to be inheriting the decisions that our generation makes. And so when we think about things like global warming, this is a map that was created by NASA that used multiple supercomputers to predict the range of temperature increase by 2100. It's an incredible study that was done. The dark red, or any red, is between plus 12 and plus 20 degrees. That's all very real, and that's going to have a real impact on their futures. That's going to bring other questions to bear. How do we feed 10 billion people on the planet, let alone 15 billion people, which is the upper estimates by 2100? That's going to cause a food security issue that needs to be solved. Human suffering and disease continues to be a problem. We have not eliminated all human suffering and cured diseases. It's remarkable how quickly everything goes out the window when you become sick or extremely ill, or when a loved one becomes extremely ill. I've lost 2 close friends and mentors to cancer in recent years. And we hear about this kind of stuff every single day. You hear terrible news every single day. But this afternoon, we get to hear about 14 companies building a future of possibility. And that's a really exciting thing for me. This is what we're doing. This is why we do it. It's to build that future that is better for all of us. And to do so, at Indie Bio, we've rejected some conventional thinking. One, we've rejected that funding biotech must be expensive. It doesn't have to be expensive. It is more expensive than funding, let's say, a software IT company, but it's not as expensive as it used to be, which allows us to try to take on new challenges. We also rejected that scientists are not entrepreneurs. That is absolutely false, and Indie Bio is proof, and the companies that we funded and the entrepreneurs that have gone on to do incredible things are proof. And finally, that the prevailing wisdom of biology being only applied to therapeutics. That is also false. Biology is a technology that can solve world problems. And again, we're funding companies that continue to do so. And we do it by helping the entrepreneurs first. We help scientists become entrepreneurs. Here's Uma Valetti. He's a cardiologist at Mayo Clinic. And he had a dream, an idea that you could make meat without killing cows, a world without slaughter. So he was in our 2nd class, and Memphis Meats went on to raise millions and millions of dollars, and is now an incredible, purpose-driven organization. I'm really proud of that company. And as we've gone forward in the past 3 years, something that I've learned, and something that's really changed for me, is that we are no longer a scrappy team trying to figure out whatever it takes to make things work. The experiment has worked, it's been proven, and so what we're doing is we're moving towards becoming an institution. And what I mean by that is something that lives beyond myself, this team, something that lives forever. And to do so, we've taken our first steps. And I'd like to introduce our team. We've brought on 2 incredible new hires. I'll start with them. Taylor Sittler, our new medical director. You'll be hearing from him shortly, but he is a co-founder of Color Genomics, a Howard Hughes Fellow, and MD, PhD, and associate professor at UCSF. Maya Lockwood is our new communications director. And all the incredible amounts of news and learnings that we're starting to share out of IndieBio is because of her. I'm incredibly thrilled to bring them both on. If you don't know IndieBio, myself, Arvind Gupta, I'm the founder and managing director. Alex Kapelian is the program director. June Axup is the science director. Parikshit Sharma, the analyst, and I've introduced the other 2. But that's not the only changes we're making. Another thing that's really big for us is we've created what we're calling an adjunct partner board. And we've brought on 6 new adjunct partners, more to come too. I'm incredibly honored and thrilled to share our first 6 adjunct partners, starting with Timothy Liu. He is a professor at MIT and the co-founder of Senti, and recently raised over $50 million to build a startup where you're re-engineering life to fight the immune system. Immunotherapies. So it's an incredible honor to have him come and join us and bring his expertise, both in the synthetic biology realm, but also in his journey to becoming a CEO, and bring that to the teams as well. Leo Teixeira, he is co-founder of GeneWeave, and helped lead GeneWeave to a successful $500 million exit, which is one of the largest diagnostics exits in history. Shinaz Suleiman is the Senior Vice President of Business Development at Theravance and brings incredible buy-side pharma experience to the IndieBio team, as well as to the companies we fund. Alexander Sasha Kam is the Senior Vice President, just retired actually, Senior Vice President of all of research and development at Amgen. He led their small molecules, large molecules, and really brings a huge amount of experience on drug development to our team. Darren Crisatello is the VP of Global VP of Sales at Color Genomics. We have a saying here that sales solves everything. Well, he's built $3 billion sales organizations, one after another. And so he's able to help our teams figure out what is the best way to move forward on closing that deal. Finally, David Eagleman is a famous neuroscientist with a TV show called Brain Games on PBS. He's also an adjunct professor at Stanford. And fun fact, he's also a advisor to the show, to the HBO show Westworld. So it's incredible. For me and for the team, it's incredible to work with this kind of talent. What they do is they bring hundreds of years of experience to the table instantly. So if we have a question as to where things are going, they're going to help us set that strategic direction. For teams that we fund, they're going to be able to make introductions as well as help advise the best way forward. So I'm extremely excited about that. So I've asked Tim to share a little bit about his journey from going to the pinnacle of what most scientists want in their career, which is a full tenured professorship at a prestigious university doing groundbreaking work, to leave that and to come and be a CEO of a company. I think he has some incredible insights to share, and I'm excited to introduce Timothy Liu.
Well, thanks everyone for being here, and Arvind for the kind introduction. It means a lot to me to actually be here and to talk to you about some of the work and my own personal journey, and also about the mission of IndieBio. I think we're at a really exciting time in history and human development where we can really start thinking about biology as an engineering substrate. And for me personally, my background originally in computer science and now a professor in biological engineering, I think it's especially poignant to think about, where this field is compared to where, the semiconductor industry was just after the invention of the transistor. If you look at some of the technologies that are underlying, a lot of the companies we're going to hear about today and in the future, the ability to rapidly understand biological systems, to read DNA, and then to take that information and turn it into a write, and to be able to engineer systems is increasing at an exponential rate, and in some cases even faster than what we got from Moore's law. And if you think about what that portends for us, especially because biology touches almost all aspects of human life, despite what people who are developing VR tell you, we're still really biologically driven society. And so thinking about how these technologies are really going to start impacting all of our lives and our ability to really understand and manipulate biology for beneficial purposes I think is a really exciting prospect. I think throughout this, to really try to realize some of the impacts of these technologies, we need a community, and I think the IndieBio community here is quite exciting. Clearly, investors, business people are an important part of that community. But at the same time, I think the scientists and the technologists who really have been at the forefront of pushing the boundaries of our scientific understanding and our ability to manipulate these systems are an integral part of that conversation, of that process, in large part because they understand what the limitations are, but what are the opportunities, and where can you really push the boundaries of the technology. So I think that's an exciting opportunity for all the entrepreneurs who participate in this program and others who are really trying to push the boundaries of biological science. I think, I've been fortunate to actually have some of my own students and postdocs join the IndieBio program, and I think to them, I think it's been a great opportunity. One of the things we tell our trainees at MIT is that regardless of what you do, whether you go down an academic path or whether you go into an industrial path, really you should try to strive for impact. And for some, that might come in the form of impact in the form of publications and public dissemination of knowledge, and I think that's great. And we really rely on that for a lot of the underlying technologies that are driving some of the stories we're going to hear about today. But at the same time, to take that to the next level, to get away just from publishing papers and eventually to help people, to bring new drugs to patients, to bring new foods to the world, to change our environmental situation, we need people to be able to step out of that environment and really shepherd these technologies to the next level. So just briefly, why am I here in California? I think over the last 8 years or so, my lab has been working on a wide range of synthetic biology technologies. How do we take a cell and fundamentally reprogram the DNA in that cell so that we can make it smart? Can we make that cell like a computer so it can do logic? It can do memory, just like your iPhone can. And can we use this ability to then make a drug? So that's what we're doing at Senti Biosciences. We're engineering human cells as a new type of drug. One that can go into the body, that can localize the areas of disease, sense disease, and actually respond by making it therapeutic. And I think for me personally, and why it's exciting to, again, be part of this community is, the technologies that we're using to enable that, this next generation therapy, is really something that's not just limited to therapeutics. This idea of taking biology, understanding why it works and how it works, and then being able to reprogram it for new activities is not just a therapeutic thing. It's going to impact diagnostics. It's going to impact the way we make food. It's going to impact the way we treat our environment. And so I think the opportunities here are quite limitless. This is the century of biology and biological engineering. And I think here today we're at the beginning of that revolution, and we're going to continue to build upon that over many, many decades as the technologies continue to advance. So I welcome you guys. Thank you for spending the time here, and thank you to IndieBio for making me a part of this great journey.
So one of the critical ideas that Tim alluded to, that it's often overlooked in biotech, is the amount of choice that scientists have between traditional routes of academia and industry and creating a startup. Every founder who comes through IndieBio has the option and ability to be publishing papers at prestigious universities or leading teams at large companies. Instead, they're choosing to take the plunge into the unknown of a startup, which is trying to create a new path in an existing industry, or oftentimes actually create new industries. And I think that's really important because at its core, IndieBio is all about that. Our name is short for independent biology, which is creating a change and securing a path outside of the ivory tower. So founders, during the 4 months they're here, are working around the clock to do that. They're turning science into a meaningful product. They're pushing their comfort zone every day. They're going out to meet the market. Oftentimes, that does mean facing an existential threat to their company and having to pivot, adapt, and change in order to create a business model that can actually go forward. So they're sprinting to get to minimum viable products, pilots and revenues, actually getting their first hires, and building the foundation for what we hope will one day become a transformational company. So I think it's a real testament to their hard work and the quality of their science that teams of 2 and 3 people are able to meaningfully engage with giants of industry like Procter & Gamble, Novartis, and Givaudan. And while they're leaving IndieBio, they're getting funded by great firms like True Ventures, Collaborative Fund, NEA, and Founders Fund. So taking a quick second to look at the numbers, over the last 3 years, 81 companies have come through IndieBio, and they've created over $600 million of market value. They've raised over $125 million, and more important than all that, these teams are creating and leading conversations in brand new industries. We're looking at things like the future of food and agriculture, biomaterials, regenerative medicine, and much, much more. And they're also creating new communities for biotechnology outside of the traditional hub of Boston, and over 400 jobs have been created by these 81 companies and the founders who started them. So now I'm going to hand it over to June, our scientific director, to talk about IndieBio beyond the 4-month program.
Thank you, Alex. It's been an honor this batch working with our companies. Each company has achieved scientific milestones in 4 months with us. These are photos of our weekly Killer of the Week competition, showing some of our companies achieving their scientific goal. Since the beginning of IndieBio, we believe that great scientists and entrepreneurs come from all walks of life. This class is no exception, with founders stemming from Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Canada, Portugal, Ecuador, Russia, and India. And their age range from 21 to 73. In this class, we've been able to support our female founders with regular events meeting with top VCs and CEOs to openly discuss the challenges we face. Furthermore, we cultivate an environment where men and women support each other. Our community, which includes all of you, have grown to thousands locally and over 20,000 globally, filling our public events with thought leaders and biotech entrepreneurs. Our team has been traveling the globe, giving talks at prestigious conferences and universities. And as batch 6 draws to a close, we have an open application for our next class starting this summer. And now I'd like to bring up Taylor, our medical director.
Thanks. Like Tim and many of the founders you're about to hear from, I made the transition from scientist to entrepreneur. And like many of their journeys, mine began with an exploration, a scientific exploration. In medical school, I started by exploring the biological networks of the parasite that caused malaria. This, along with an interest in the burgeoning science of DNA sequencing, led me to Charles Chu, an infectious disease specialist at UCSF. Charles and I together created the first diagnostic test that could identify any pathogen in a human sample. That test is now used by the CDC for outbreak detection and monitoring. As the avalanche of DNA sequencing that was being generated from this test threatened to overwhelm the algorithms that we were using to analyze it, I began looking for computational methods that could help us to more effectively handle that data. Together with Dave Patterson, who recently won the Turing Award, we created a small genetics group within the computer science department at UC Berkeley to develop more effective software for handling the reams of genetic data that were generated after the cost of DNA sequencing had dropped so precipitously. After finishing residency, I decided it was time to try a new type of challenge, as I wanted to bring this closer to patients. Together with two serial entrepreneurs who had both been early executives at Google and then at Twitter, we created Color Genomics, which is dedicated to making clinical genetic testing accessible for people. That transition was interesting. I would say one of the most exhilarating journeys that I had been on, but also the scariest, I think. As you know, startups don't have any of the financial security that academic medicine does. The environment and the incentives are completely different. And the challenges were foreign to somebody who is a scientist and a clinician. I was lucky to have two seasoned executives to work with as we dealt with the challenges of product design, marketing, team development, regulatory challenges, and the myriad things that a burgeoning company faces. After 4 years at Color Genomics, I'm now ready to help others make that transition. It's been really exciting to do that at IndieBio. I think there are a really great set of companies that come through here, and it's been a real, I've really enjoyed helping them, watching as they go through their early challenges and successfully navigate the early hurdles, make that transition into entrepreneurship. And then to become and to build successful companies. It turns out that there are a common set of challenges that pretty much all of these companies face, and so it's been really interesting to work with these folks as they go through it. And so please join me in welcoming IndieBio Class 6.